Hello students, I'm Hardik Thakkar, and in this video, I'm going to explain the importance of language for a broadcaster. Using language well is obviously for paramount importance to the broadcaster. Unfortunately, there are no simple and all-inclusive guidelines for proper pronunciation and usage. And categorizing standards and definitions is very difficult. Scholars have debated the issues of dialects and standardized language for centuries without producing a completely definitive standard. For example, what defines a dialect? In most basic terms, it is a variety of language. But from what exactly does it differ? Is a certain dialect substandard? What is standard? It is useful to look at the language issue in the most basic terms, the terms most directly related to on-air broadcasters. This discussion includes pronunciation, which is obviously germane to a chapter on speech and voice. Also important and included in this chapter to complete the discussion of language is an examination of usage. Two common terms encountered in on-air broadcastings are Standard English and General American Speech. Although these distortions are sometimes used interchangeably, Standard English is generally taken to mean the English language as it is written or spoken by literate people in both formal and informal usage, whereas General American Speech can be defined as pronunciation of American English using few or no regional peculiarities. From the standpoint of pronunciation, deviation from General American Speech are dialect resulting from regionalism or social circumstances. Regional dialects. Linguists identify dialects in terms of local and regional peculiarities in pronunciation. There are said to be four main regional dialects in the United States: Northern, North Midland, North South Midland, and Southern. There are many distinct variations within these categories. The exact scope of General American Speech has always been elusive, but it has come to be used for all speech except that of New England and the coastal South. Perhaps a better basis for judgment would be network standard, the unaccented speech of most newscasters and actors delivering commercials. An unaccented form of American speech was thought to be spoken in Chicago, although clearly some speakers in Chicago do use regional speech. In the early days of broadcasting, some organizations sent announcers to Chicago in an effort to eliminate regional accents. Eliminating regionalism in any manner is not easy. We are so used to hearing our own regionalisms, primarily vowel distortions, that we find its speech from the unaccented speech used by most network newscasters. An effort must be made to correct regionalisms, though. Vowel distortion due to regional dialects can be distracting to a listener who, for example, expects to hear boy and hear instead boy from Southern speaker, and many people find substitutions even more intrusive the New England trait of adding R's where they don't belong. For example, pizzer for pizza, bananas for banana, and dropping them where they do belong. For example, car for car, water for water, can irritate listeners who are unaccustomed to these dialects. As we noted earlier, you may not be able to distinguish your own regional dialect. If your instructor or colleagues tell you that you have a distracting regionalism, they are probably right. And if you can't identify and correct the regional distortion or substitutions on your own, by all means ask a speech professional or coach for help in getting rid of it. Social dialects. Certain differences in pronunciations are apparent among groups that differ in educational level or cultural practices. Since standard speech is arbitrarily assumed to reflect the highly educated members of a society, a similarly arbitrary definitions pegs other social dialects as non-standard. George Bernard Shaw satirized the rigid British class system by reflecting its cultural differences in speech patterns. In Pygmalion, Shaw made the point that more attention was given to packaging of words than to the substance. Still, it is important for a broadcaster to reflect the social dialect looked on as standard. You must use educated pronunciations and usages. Saying "these" instead of "this" can reflect a non-standard social dialect, as can loose pronunciation. "What you gonna do" is not acceptable, something that for a broadcaster. The appropriateness of loose pronunciations, however, clearly varies with the situations. You don't commonly intone every sound when asking a friend, "What are you going to do?" In informal situations, some loosening of pronunciation is acceptable. So, this is all about language and the broadcaster. Thanks for watching.